Hey, so welcome to another S2000 video. In today's video, I'm going to be changing up the look of the car a bit and actually adding some functionality as well too. So for those of you that have been kind of following this S2000, I guess a little build you could call it, so far, I have these TE37s on the car that came with the car when I bought it. So these are very, safe S2000 spec fitment. So up in the front, if we just go up there, we have this is a 17 by 7.5 plus 50 with a 245, no, sorry, not 245, 225/45 tire. So as you can see, it clears the front fenders, no problem. At this height that I'm at, which was a bit lower than the springs that I had the car originally on. So this is with the KW V3 coilovers now. It is a bit lower, so I did have to kind of bend back some of the fender tabs just to prevent the tire catching. And in the rear, kind of similar story, very conservative fitment. You can see here the rears actually, you don't need to touch the fenders at all. These are a 17 by 9 with a 63 offset, so yes, extremely high. And then the tires that this guy has is a 255/40. So this is a pretty standard, staggered fitment for these cars. Obviously kind of tracking the car, I did start to run into situations where I felt the front end grip was a little bit lacking. And with S2000 guys, it's really common to do a 255 square setup. Obviously, you've seen kind of anything from your typical RPF ones, which those are a 17 by 9 45 offset. That requires a roll and a pull of both your front and your rear fenders, which I wasn't really too keen on doing. There are other setups, aggressive TE37s, kind of NCE28s, in that kind of 17 by 9.5, 47, 50-ish offset, which again, you do need fender work. Maybe that's something that I'll consider later down the line if I need some clearance for big brake kits or anything like that. But I decided to kind of stick to a tried and true 17 by 9 plus 63. So if you might remember, that's the same spec as the rears right now, but putting that in the front as well too. So I would have loved to find another pair of T37s in this fitment, and then just have that as my square setup, and then basically kind of swap the fronts for street. But I didn't find anything, so alas, that wasn't going to work out. So let me show you guys what the wheels and tires that I ended up going with. So tires, as you can see here, these are Hankook RS4s. So Ventus RS4s, these were recommended by a few people that, they're really good for tread life in terms of track days, and also they're not the quickest tire in the world, but just because they last so long, it's a good tire to learn on. And kind of for the wheel reveal, this is probably something that you don't typically see. So some of you may be familiar with the NT03 Enkei wheels. They're pretty similar, kind of like in weight and stuff like that, to the very well-known Enkei RPF ones. So these guys are NT03RRs, or what Enkei likes to call Racing Revolution. So kind of, they claim that this is basically the strongest wheel design and manufacturing that they have. I don't know how much crazier that would be compared to the normal NT03s. So as you can see, this is a very flat face design. It would have been cool to go something concave, but alas, with the fitment that I was running, that wasn't really a possibility. These wheels, actually, I got them from Japan and had them shipped over here. Shout out to a fellow S2000 owner that I met. His name's Larry. He helped me basically import these into Canada for a fairly cheap price. So I found these used actually on Kruber, which is the online store for Up Garage in Japan. So yeah, pretty happy with these. No, they're not T37s, but they're still lightweight, and I think kind of in combination with these tires, I think they would make a pretty good track setup. Obviously, the one downside with having a track setup is if you do go off track and potentially wreck one of your wheels, if they're really expensive, it hurts a lot. These, thankfully, not too bad, so I can kind of beat on them a little bit, and I won't have to worry about it. So let's throw these on the car and see how they look. So first we'll just jack up the car, take our wheels off, and then we can swap these guys on. So I thought it'd kind of be cool to compare just some of the differences between the T37 and the new NT03RRs. So right now I have here the rear set of the T37, so exactly the same specs as this guy here. As you can see, they're both flat face. In terms of design, so these T37s are actually fairly older ones. As you can see, they don't have the made in Japan markings or the forged stamping like some of the new ones do. I do like this look. It's a lot cleaner in my opinion. Some people say, oh, these look like reps, but I know that these are OG T37s because they're light as hell and they have the stamping on the back. With the Enkei NT03RRs, they have a lot of touches that are kind of similar to what the new raised wheels has. So if you look here, we have made in Japan, little Enkei stamping there. Over here, so here's what they call their Matte Dura 2. So that's their wheel technology that I was talking about a little bit before. Interestingly enough, I don't know why. So all of these other markings are facing kind of down. If you're looking just straight at it, you can read it. But the actual NT03RR stamping is the other way. Interesting little note there. Then we have our JWL and VIA stamping certification, and these ones come with center caps. So these center caps, it's interesting, they're kind of like a black, almost like a brushed stainless steel look. I think they look actually quite clean. So as you can see here, we have the front on, and I'm just in the process of changing it back. So once I have this guy on, we can kind of compare side to side. So okay, to kind of spare any repetition, because the specs on the wheels and the tires are exactly the same in the rears, so I'm just going to focus on the front. So here we have our new 17x9 255/40 square setup in the front. So as you can see, it is filled up actually pretty nicely. Like I mentioned, I did bend back the fender tabs and did a slight roll on these guys. Just I thought maybe clearance would be a little bit tight, but it looks pretty good overall. It's not obviously like super stance flush or anything like that. It is more flush in the rear, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's fine. I'm not going for pure aesthetics. This is more of a functionality thing. And as you can see kind of towards the bottom half of the wheel, it kind of sticks out from the bumper area. Whereas if I go to the other side, this is our T setup. So obviously it doesn't stick out as much. These specs are actually very similar though. Like if you look, this is obviously sunk in a bit more, but not as much as you'd think. So I can't remember off the top of my head. I know the new 17x9 setup is a bit more aggressive, but it's not overly so. I'll probably just put in a little description of how much more aggressive it is in the front. But obviously we're going from a 225 tire to a 255 tire, so a lot more grip in the front end. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how much of the character of the car changes. From a handling perspective, having wider front tires, we're gonna be basically shifting the balance of the car to a little bit more tail happy, because now we have more front end grip. But the car was pretty neutral before in my opinion, so it'll be interesting to see how it drives with the square setup, especially on track. I do have an upgraded front sway bar that's awaiting to be installed into the car, and as well, depending on if I want to go that route or not, new rear wing setup as well too. But I think adding both of those will completely kill the balance of the car and just make it understeer like hell. So we'll see how it goes and then just kind of do a little thing at a time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up swapping all the wheels and tires on, and then we'll take a look at the look. All right, so here's the final look. Don't mind the car, it's a little bit dusty. And actually the fronts, I did have these on temporarily just to see that fitment would be okay if I needed to do any further fender work. So those are a little bit dusty, as you can actually, it might not be able to come on camera, but the rears are a lot cleaner than the fronts. But overall, I actually quite like how these look. Dare I say, I like these better than the T37s. I know some people might call me insane for saying that because T37s are so iconic, but I just like these because they're a little bit different. I think I've only ever seen one other S2000 with this wheel, and that's online. I've never seen an S2000 with these wheels in person, and also these wheels aren't super common just in general. I feel like, yeah, obviously RPF ones are super common. Even the RS, I think 05RRs are a lot more common than these guys. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty rare that wheel companies will make S2000 specific fitment. So shout out to Enkei for making wheels that are relatively new that actually fit these cars with minimal fender work. If this car was at stock height, actually, I probably wouldn't have had to touch the front fenders. Rears are still untouched, not even rolled, and still it clears no problem. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this looks. I'll probably report back on how the car drives. Obviously, with a wider tire on the street, the front end's gonna be a lot more twitchy and sensitive just because there's a lot more rubber to catch onto things. But yeah, I mean, I already kind of know how that felt from just doing my little testing sessions with the front wheels. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked at how this looks. Let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think is better, the TEs or the NT03s? Yeah, dare I say, I think I like these better. Just they're a darker shade. They just look a bit more aggressive. So now I'm a little bit torn because I have these perfectly fine TE37s. The silly side of me is thinking maybe because these are a staggered setup, maybe I'll just change these tires out. So these tires on here are NT05s. They have seen, I think, 3 track days so far now, and then just a bunch of street driving as well too. There is still a decent amount of tread on them, so I might just wear them out until I need to replace the tires. But I've been kind of debating on keeping these and just doing more of a street-friendly tire and then keeping these as race wheels, I guess. But kind of, I do really like how they look. So maybe I'll just only keep these, maybe sell these. If you're serious and you have an interest, feel free to send me a message. Maybe we can work something out. But yeah, so welcome to the new wheel and tire setup on the S2000. Let me know what you think, like I said. And in the next S2000 video, I want to install something that I've had for a while but haven't got around to it. So I'll give you a little bit of a hint in what that is. It's going to add a bit more power to this car, which will be pretty cool. But yeah, so stay tuned to find out what that part is in a next coming video. But until next time, thank you for watching and see you guys next time.